For some time, he gave a talk on Bitcoin and crypto just when the last time Bitcoin was going through the roof, and it was hitting about over 20,000 US, I think. Anyway, it's nearly back to that level now, today, in fact. And we had 155 people for that talk, which was the record for, and still the second most we've ever had. And so if you need me to introduce Dan Schwartz, forget it. I don't know where you've been. Anyway, Dan, come up and give us some insight into some other perspectives on what we can do about this COVID crisis.
Okay, hard show to follow, though. Talking about Tesla. The only question, we'll do questions, but one question somebody raised, and you can think about the answer later. One with all the self-driving and all the automated manufacturing and all those kinds of things. What happens to all the people that currently do those kinds of things, and where are they going to? Just, you don't have to answer it now because I'll do my thing on Bitcoin. But that's one thought. And then the other question to talk about later is Tesla trades at 800 times forward earnings, not trailing 12-month earnings, but forward projected earnings. So if you could answer that, if you can think of the answer to that, because I know that would be, I'm not sure if everybody knows that, but Tesla's current price is around a little bit less than $500. So, and that's 800 times their forward earnings for next year. So share it when I'm done, and we can both come up and answer questions about why something trading at 800 times projected earnings is a bargain. The article, I could be wrong, but the article I read said is 800. I can look it up, but I thought it was 800 times forward earnings, so next year's earnings. Okay. What? I got my cell right here. Oh no, I'm not saying he's not going to ever sell, no matter what I would say anyway. I was asking the question because people will go away and find that article. It's easy to find. It's just on the financial statements. It'll say, and it's those are two questions. Did I miss any other questions, Alan? You could think of? Do my talk. Okay. Well, we'll do my talk. Okay. I'm going to talk about. I really can't see, but it's okay. I'm going to talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, things like that. And as Ren said, I came December 15th, 2017. I want to say Bitcoin was $18,000, $19,000 back then. So it was a timely talk. It was 157 people. But the little orphans did better, which is great, because I think that raised lots of money for charity, and little kids are way better than older guys. I won't call myself old. At least my 5-year-old says, Daddy, you're old. Okay, here we go. These are a couple interesting people. Tapscott's father, son, talk about the blockchain revolution. They don't talk about, I'll cover this in a minute. Bitcoin is just the first one. But when I play this video, those of you who remember, it's the same video from a couple years ago, but it's useful for people that don't know anything about Bitcoin, blockchain, and whatever. Next slide. So, this is the important point. The technology of the future is not Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not the thing. I mean, Ren and Joseph like Bitcoin along with a whole bunch of other people and institutions and things like that. But the thing is blockchain. What's a blockchain? Okay. Next slide. So first, you build a cryptocurrency. It's a digital algorithm. There's all kinds of different ways they get created. People ask questions about, why does Bitcoin have any value? It's created out of thin air. Wrong. It's not created. Bitcoin has more value than US dollars, GBP, euros. How much does it cost the government to create a 500 euro note? How much you think? Anybody have an idea? What, 50 cents, 30 cents? It's just the paper, right? Paper, security paper, special ink, and printing press, and somebody run the printing press. Well, Bitcoin, the cost to create Bitcoin, somewhere on the order $3,000 to $4,000 a Bitcoin. approximately, because Bitcoin is, quote, mined, which means all these computer banks, big amounts of computers, are out there solving this cryptography stuff, and it's a race. And he who has the fastest machines and the best setup usually can win. Now, you don't win all the time, because Alan's company, he has his machines, and they happen to solve this cryptography before my company, so he gets the reward. Bitcoin mining is not profitable at $3,000 Bitcoin. $3,000 to $4,000 is kind of the break-even point, because it uses lots of power. You have these big banks of computers that are now specially designed to mine Bitcoin, based with these special ASICs, amp miners, and stuff like that. But it costs, on average, about $3,000-ish to mine or create Bitcoin. So anybody tells you it doesn't cost anything. Now, people will argue that's a stupid use of resources, potentially. Why using all the power? But that's why other kinds of cryptos were created that don't operate the same way, that don't require that kind of technology. Next. One more click. No, back. Play the video. Got the video? Should play the video. It's in there. And Brad tested it. Okay, forget the video. Blythe Masters, the lady there, she used to work for J.P. Morgan, then she had her own financial firm. We got her video, need volume. Hold on. Skip the video. Don't worry about it. Basically, she goes to explain what's blockchain and Bitcoin, how Bitcoin just happens to have its own blockchain. But the important point, and it's kind of in the early slide, blockchain's what matters, not Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is the biggest cryptocurrency out there, has about 60% market dominance when I show some of it in a minute. But she says blockchain's the most important thing. Now, this is a simple way to think about the blockchain, and it applies to Bitcoin or any of them. Pick a book, any book. Let's pick the Bible. The King James most current. Okay, so let's think about this for a minute. King James Bible, the current edition just came out, 2020 edition. If you buy it, and it's the exact same, the exact same publisher and all that, if you buy it in Thailand, America, England, wherever you buy it, page 1, word 1's the same in all the books, right? At least they should be if this is the exact same book. Page 2, page 3, page 4, all the way to page 1026, or whatever the last page of the Bible is. Well, the way the blockchain works is very similarly. Every version, there's all these computers that run the network, and when my computer solves and wins, it broadcasts to the whole network this next block, and it carries the transactions, but it's transparent and publicly available. So block 2,000,057 on your computer, my computer, his computer, Blockchain Explorer, you go look, is the same. And it's called immutable. That's why you can have trustless transactions and all that, because it is transparent. So if you go here, that shows you the latest blocks. You can go to blockchain.info or blockchain.com. It shows you the latest transactions. You can click on that transaction, and you can see right here, I just copied this, the other Monday, I think. So at 2305, $350 worth of Bitcoin at the time was transferred. Now, Bitcoin's also called pseudo-anonymous. People all talk, remember, you've heard the bad stuff. Oh, only the drug dealers and the money launderers and all of them are going to use Bitcoin. Wrong. You can track every single transaction on the Bitcoin blockchain. You click that, up pops the address that sent it and the address that received it. So that's why it's called pseudo-anonymous, because for instance, if I'm a landlord, we'll say, and Joseph wants to pay his rent in Thai baht, but use his Bitcoin. So there's a place, there's a site here in Thailand, coins.co.th, I'll cover a little bit later, where you can have Bitcoin and they do payment things. So he could say, I want to send Dan 27,000 baht worth of Bitcoin. So it calculates at the current time, it's this much Bitcoin. He calls me up and says, hey, I want to pay my rent, but I'm going to send you some Bitcoin. Is that okay? I said, yeah, sure. So I give him my address. Once he has that address, he knows that address belongs to me. Therefore, it's no longer anonymous, right? Because he knows my address. And depending upon what kind of wallet system I'm using, how that address works, how I use that address, you can go click on blockchain, plunk that address in, and for that address, you can see every single transaction back to the beginning of whenever that address was created. So you can see, for instance, I've received 3,247 Bitcoin to that address, and I've sent out 3,246 Bitcoin, and that address now contains 1 Bitcoin. So that's why it's called pseudo-anonymous. Now, there are other cryptocurrencies with different blockchains, different software, different systems that are totally anonymous. They scramble everything from the address to the amount to everything. So unless you have the keys to unscramble it, you have no clue. You can look at the public blockchain, you can see the transaction, but there's no way to tie it. Joseph sent Dan some of that crypto. Next slide. So I said, Bitcoin's the first one. Bitcoin's 60% of the market cap. Bitcoin is the entry point into crypto because that's the easiest one because it was first. And Bitcoin, people consider it, digital gold. And that's just how it is. People say, oh, but this one's better, but first usually winds up, unless they screw up, as being the big one. So Bitcoin, everybody gets in with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's easy. Bitcoin hasn't grown as fast as it could have grown because nobody owns it. Nobody owns Bitcoin. Satoshi Nakamoto, the supposed creator, they created it in a group of people, but it's open source. You can go get the code yourself for Bitcoin. You can just go download it. And that's how Litecoin was created, another cryptocurrency. It's a copy of Bitcoin with some modifications to the code because they wanted to do things different, make it behave a little faster. So Litecoin was born. And what they did at the time, they just forked the code and it basically took it in a different way and then took a snapshot of what was happening, and people wound up miraculously having Litecoin. There's other things people might have heard of, Bitcoin Cash. That's Bitcoin, but a different tweak to the algorithm. A group of people didn't like how Bitcoin was running, so they created their own. I mean, anybody can do it. Then there's all these things called altcoins. I can create you your own crypto. I can create a PCEC crypto in 5 minutes. Easy. I could go do it. Just sit down on a computer and any number of different blockchains as the base, and I can go create a PCEC token. Not worth anything unless people want to buy, sell, but easy to do. So that's why these things called altcoins, which you also have to worry about a little bit. Next slide. Before we get to them, this is the funny ones. First Bitcoin, big Bitcoin transaction people know. This guy bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. That boy's kicking himself right now. Or maybe he was kicking himself in 2017. January 2018, Bitcoin hit its all-time high of 20,000, couple hundred, depends what exchange. Over 20 grand, so that would have been $200 million, right? $200 million for 2 pizzas. But back in those days, you could mine Bitcoin on your home PC. No problem. So, next slide. Another one. This Norwegian spent 27 bucks, bought some Bitcoin ages ago, and woke up one day to $800 and something thousand worth of Bitcoin. Next. Okay, some of the bigwigs. Bill Gates is in crypto. And there's a video I'll play in a little while. He believes strongly in crypto because his view of the world, remember when they bought Nokia, the idea was they were controlling, not controlling, but they'd have handsets and they could have low cost computing effectively because these phones are way more powerful computers than we used to have in the old days. Those would be in the hands of everybody. You get a $100 phone, and now people could have access. If you have access, and they're dealing with unbanked, people who don't have bank accounts, because if you don't have lots of money, you don't have a bank account. But if you don't ever have a bank account or some kind of a place to store, you don't have a way to grow any wealth, right? You have to hide it under the cover somewhere. Have no way to do anything. So that's Bill Gates. Richard Branson also invested in a lot of crypto companies. This guy's made a lot of money. Some people don't like him because he was trying to get bailouts from the government for Virgin, and he's a multi-billionaire, and the amount of money he's trying to get, I don't know. But it is what it is. The rich always succeed no matter what happens. That's just the way it works. Mark Andreessen, he's the Netscape inventor, and he's got Andreessen Horowitz, which is a VC company. They just announced not too long ago, but the second fund. So the early version of the slide said they had $50 million invested in the cryptocurrency market, and they were going to add hundreds of millions more. So I updated it because there's two funds they did, and between the two funds, it's $815 million. Next slide. Yeah, we'll play this one, see if you can get the video to work with the sound. No sound. All right, we'll skip it. What Bill Gates was talking about there, in a nutshell, was the fact that 3 billion people in the world, and it's probably more now, this is 2016 video, 3 billion plus people in the world don't have bank accounts. And like I said, no bank account or no access to the financial system, no way to build, store, grow any kind of wealth. So his idea, again, with a mobile phone, access to the low-cost access to the internet, which most people would have with mobile phones in those countries, then crypto becomes a cheap way. People used to say free. Crypto transactions aren't free. I could share some about that in a minute. But a way for these people to participate in the financial system, keep the cost down, and enable all these people to bring themselves up. One other point about we'll skip that in a minute. Okay, so now this one, cryptocurrencies. Remember I talked about Bitcoin's number one. Most people have heard of Bitcoin. How many people have heard of Ethereum? A fair number. How about Bitcoin Cash? Anybody know what Bitcoin? Okay, this is the point I was making. All of these cryptocurrencies are open source. In other words, you could go to a site, GitHub, which is a repository place where people stick their software, and download an exact copy of the Bitcoin code. Get your own copy. Then, if you're smart or have some smart guys that you hired, you can modify that code and then create a new version. So what happened here, Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin, there was a disagreement in the system amongst all the people that work on it of how they could make it behave better, work faster, less congestion, because Bitcoin's slow. Bitcoin is not designed for retail transactions. It's too slow. Takes one block every 10 minutes. So the quickest a transaction could be fully confirmed is in 10 minutes. Well, you're not going to sit at the cashier and wait 10 minutes, so there had to be other solutions. So to scale, so there's a disagreement, and the guys who built Bitcoin Cash decided we're going to go our way, and because there's a disagreement in how they're going to do things, so Bitcoin Cash was created. There's also Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Diamond, Bitcoin, I can't remember all of them. There's like 8 or 9 forks of Bitcoin. Now, the only good thing about when they did that, especially when Bitcoin was high, like if I decided to fork Bitcoin right now, I had some cool idea, I'm going to create a new version of Bitcoin, Bitcoin Dan. But what you do is you take a snapshot of the blockchain, because everybody has access. Remember, I said this blockchain's public at the moment, so there's been 18.7 million Bitcoin created since day one. And they're all tied at the moment. All of those Bitcoin are connected to an address. So Joseph has an address or multiple addresses, Ren does, I do. Each of those addresses has, a connection to some amount of Bitcoin. When you create this, quote, fork, all those people, if you had 5 Bitcoin of regular Bitcoin, you get 5 of this Bitcoin Dan coin. So that's what happened with Bitcoin Cash. So a lot of guys got a big windfall. Then this point I wanted to make here is if you look, this was on, I think I did this Monday night, $459 billion is the total value in coin market cap of all trading cryptocurrency. Now, the way this works, you have to meet some criteria to get in this site, CoinMarketCap. The criteria is you have to be on 2 exchanges, your crypto. In other words, if we created this fictional PCEC crypto and we wanted to list it, get it listed here, we'd have to get it first on a couple of exchanges and meet their requirements, and then have a certain amount of trading volume. So if you meet those 2 requirements, you can get in this list. And now there's like 7,600 something coins or trading pairs in there. And the total value on Monday of all crypto was $458 billion. They just take the amount that exists circulating times the price at that time when I checked it. Now, if I check here, 1 second. If I look here right now, this very minute on coinmarketcap.com, total market cap of everything, $499 billion. So it went from 458 to 499 since Monday night. In the last 24 hours, the global crypto market went up 5.38%. Bitcoin in the last 24 hours is up 6.31%, and 15% in the last week. And Bitcoin's $325 billion out of this 499 now. So Bitcoin's about a little bit over 60%. It's called 60% market dominance. So which is why everybody winds up with Bitcoin. And it's just kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy because it's easy. It's relatively difficult to buy directly most of these other cryptos. Relatively difficult. In Thailand, we're lucky. We can easily buy Bitcoin. We can easily get set up to buy Bitcoin. I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, this chart is Bitcoin back to history. It's kind of interesting. Here, I'll get over here. This is back to the beginning. And actually, I found a calculator that'll help you calculate the returns on Bitcoin going back to 2010. And if you account for inflation, the average annual return for Bitcoin, accounting for CPI, is 203% per year. And it's had some really bad down years, really bad. I mean, Bitcoin last year was down to $3,100. I think this year, actually, it was as low as like $3,200. Okay, so back in 2014, almost zero. And then you saw 2017, 2018 spikes. Now look at 2020. This thing on the bottom is 24-hour volume. Then you can see the peak was January 2018, and we're getting close. Like I said, it's like 17.7 right now. And when Ren and Joseph were asking me to learn about and talk about Bitcoin, it was 11 or 12. And that's only been, 6 weeks? 2 months? Good news is I get to go there and I get Ren's special Cocoa Ren at the coffee place. So I work cheap. Next slide. This shows a similar picture for Ethereum, which is number 2. The shapes are pretty much the same. They're all relatively correlated in the top 10. Next one, go ahead. Ripple. This one's one that's quite interesting, Ripple, XRP. This is a kind of a crypto I love to hate because it sort of violates the spirit and the rules of cryptocurrency. How many people have heard of Ripple? How many people know anything about Ripple other than its symbol is XRP? there's a very, did he skip it? No. There's a very, very interesting thing. Ripple Labs, they have a competing payments system to SWIFT. You know how you send wire transfers to the SWIFT messaging system? Well, Ripple Labs has their own. Most people think that's directly tied to Ripple, the cryptocurrency. In other words, oh, everybody's using Ripple, the crypto, I should buy it. No, they're totally different. And Ripple, the crypto, is totally controlled by Ripple, the company. And every month they release hundreds of millions of dollars of Ripple from Treasury to fund things. That's just how it is. But lots of people hold it, and it's up today to like 29 cents, which is pretty high for what it's been. Next one. Here's one I like. I've always liked this one. Cardano, the guy who built it, I think his name's Charles Hotchkiss. He's pretty famous. I think he's one of the guys who built one of the browsers originally. But here's the interesting thing. Its all-time high was $1.20. And today it's trading at a little over 10 cents, and it's up. It's down 98% from its all-time high. And it's been fluctuating over the last year and a half. It goes down to 4 cents, back up to 10 cents, down to 4 cents, back up to 10 cents. But if you know how to play, you can make a ton of money with coins like that. Next one. We'll go through these quickly. Tron, this is another interesting one. The reason why I knew about Tron, but I didn't pay much attention. But remember I talked about fees? Well, there's lots of projects out there that people were basically using Ethereum as the base for their project. Well, they're trying to send $30 to an Ethereum smart contract, which is just an address that effectively has software tied to it. And the fees were 30 bucks. Oh, I got this really low cost offer and it's only $30, but to actually send the $30, you're gonna spend $30. Bitcoin had that problem too. A few years ago, you know, Bitcoin transaction fees, if you want a transaction to get through, you were looking at, you know, 40, 50 bucks for a transaction. It is what it is. So Tron is quite interesting. It's a really super fast blockchain. This is designed for, I thought it said hundreds of thousands of transactions a second. So this is set up to be able to support retail kinds of things, be able to support applications, and it's cheap. It's like 2.5 cents. I think maybe it went up to 2.9 cents. So it's pretty cheap, and the ability to use it. You can, if you save some, you can, if you store some, you can actually do it transmission fee free. Next one. So why is crypto better than traditional fiat, which is paper money? Next. Well, a couple of them. One, decentralized. This is the important, except Ripple. Ripple's not decentralized. They might argue differently, but that's my opinion. Decentralized means there is nobody owning it, nobody controlling it. That's a good thing. Now, it's easy to use. That's debatable. It is easy, but there's multiple steps, because if it was really easy to use, I wouldn't have spent so much quality time with Joseph and Ren. Right, Joseph? If it was really easy, we wouldn't have had as many coffees together. Anonymity, it's basically anonymous. That's why I use pseudo-anonymous. Transparent, 100% transparent. For any of these systems, you plug an address in, I give you a website, you can go check it out, you can see every transaction. Can't hide. Government, they can't hide from the government either. Free or very low fees, again, typically, not always. But those are the advantages. But here's the thing about decentralized, trustless, and all. I don't have to trust anybody. I trust the software. I don't need to worry about it. Now, with decentralization comes great personal responsibility. How many people use online banking on your phone? Okay, back to my rent example. I'm going to pay Joseph my rent. I go into my Bangkok Bank app, click bank account number XYZ. I want to send them 27,000 baht because that's my rent payment. And then I fat fingered it and put an extra zero. So I hit send 270 and I'm not paying attention. Click yes, off it goes. There I go. Uh-oh, I sent them 270,000, not 27,000. But right at the bottom of that little thing, if there is any problem with your transaction, please call the bank, right? Get an email and it says in the app. So I screwed up. All I got to do is pick up the phone, call Bangkok Bank and say, I meant to send them 27,000. I accidentally sent them 270. Please cancel my transaction. Give me back my money. And they will do that, correct? Of course, they will. You can undo those things. Crypto world can't do it. If I accidentally sent him 270,000, bought a Bitcoin, and the good case is I accidentally sent it to him, so I used the right address. And he's my landlord, so he knows me. And if I call him up and say, hey, Joseph, you got half a Bitcoin, and you were supposed to get a tenth of that, right? You were supposed to get, 5/10 of a half, or whatever it is. And then he goes, oh, yeah, I got it. Thank you. Now, then he'd laugh, and he'd send it back to me because he's my landlord, and he knows me. That's the best case. You send it to somebody you know, you screwed up, but they send it back to you. We actually had a case like that. I'll share that story later. But the worst case is I screwed up and fat-fingered his address. I didn't just copy-paste it, and I didn't verify. What I do is I look at like the first 5, 6, 7, 8 characters and numbers in an address when I send crypto, and then I look at the last 5, 6, 7, 8, and say, yep, they match, I didn't screw up, click send. Well, if you don't do it that way, and let's say I sent my normal rent payment, 27,000 baht, but I was off. The last letter should have been A, and I hit C because they're next to each other on the keyboard. I didn't copy paste. Well, one of two things just happened with that Bitcoin or any crypto. One is it went to some lucky person who now has 27,000 baht worth of whatever crypto, courtesy of me. Or worse, it's in the ether somewhere, attached to an address that doesn't exist. And it's kind of lost forever. Next slide. Stay away from the scams. Keep going through the reveals. Danger, danger, Will Robinson. How many remember that show? Yeah, we're all old. Next slide. Next reveal. Anyway, back for a second. One point I'll make about scam. We have a whole presentation that I'm not going to steal the thunder for, that a friend of mine will do. But first rule of investing with crypto, or any kind of deal that somebody puts out. If you're told, send your money to the company, and we will gladly hold it for you, and I'll put your money with Wrens and Josephs and Allens and Bryans and Richards and everybody else's, and I'll give you a return every day credited to your back office account, so kind of like when you're online banking, you say, oh, my balance is going up. But that's under the control of some company you don't even know. Don't do it. Don't do it. You might be getting paid your returns. You might be getting your withdrawals. And it's great up until the minute they stop paying. Even Bernie Madoff, that was the biggest Ponzi scheme in history. And that was bigwig people, but same concept. Okay, one thing, this is the last part of the presentation, because one of the things I like to say, and my good friend likes to say, get a little bit of Bitcoin. Just get a little bit. Even if you know nothing about it, even if you're not that interested in it, get a little bit and get used to it. Because here's the thing. Bitcoin, as I said, is not owned by anybody. However, now, over the 10 years Bitcoin's been around, there's been enough impetus for people to build stuff. Coinbase, which is, I think this one. Yep, Coinbase, one of the first exchanges, wallet companies out of the US, the first unicorn cryptocurrency company, first billion-dollar market cap crypto company. Coinbase, I think his name, Brian Armstrong's the founder, decided to form this thing because he saw the potential in Bitcoin. He got investors. He doesn't own Bitcoin. He owns Bitcoin himself, but he doesn't own the product, the coin, doesn't own it. They turned Coinbase, into a behemoth. So if you're based in the US or Singapore or UK, a place like that, they're an easy way to get into Bitcoin. And you can connect your bank account, you can connect credit cards. So if somebody wants to buy it, it's simple. So that's Coinbase. Next. Yeah, one of the issues, because it's US, slightly more effort on KYC and things like that. But that's okay. Next. Now, we are extremely lucky to live in Thailand. We're extremely lucky. Got good weather. And we have coins.co.th. It's probably one of the easiest Bitcoin companies that exist. Coins.co.th has its counterparts in Malaysia and in Philippines. Is a payments company that happens to use Bitcoin. So for instance, their focus is really on the payment aspects. You get your coins account, coins.co.th, you can get approved in a matter of hours if you're lucky, if timing works and your pictures go in and all that, or a couple of days, worst case. Then lo and behold, you can buy your first Bitcoin, or first tenth of a Bitcoin, or first 3,000 baht worth of Bitcoin. It's easy. Then you can see, oh, I can pay my electric bill, I can pay my phone bill, my internet bill. All these bill things are connected up with coins. So they're designed as a payments company. That means they're also designed to try and make it relatively easy, right, Joseph? They're relatively easy. Ren knows. So because their focus is on payments using Bitcoin, they're not a Bitcoin trading company. And interestingly, they also are very concerned with protecting your Bitcoin. A couple years ago, we were running a project, and one of the guys sent me, I don't remember how much, sent me I had like 10 or 15 Bitcoin in my account, and at like 10 o'clock at night, we're on a call. Hey, we got to pay these developers some money. I need 6 Bitcoin now. Okay. Got the address, log in my account, click send 6 Bitcoin. Waiting. And I was driving down the patio the next morning, and I get a phone call at like 9 o'clock in the morning when the office is open from Coins. So, hello, is this Mr. Schwartz? I said, yep. I said, who's this? Oh, it's Coins, blah, 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 blah. Could you confirm some things for us? I go, yeah, sure, why? Oh, because it's about your transfer, because 6 Bitcoin then was significant. It's a payments company, not an exchange. So after I answered I gave them the suitable responses to my security questions, like date of birth, all those kind of things. Okay, we'll let your transaction go through. They were protecting me from unscrupulous, or somebody hacked my account and tried to clean me out of 6 Bitcoin. So they're really good. They're real easy. Next. Only con, that's a pro and a con, what I just described. But if you need to send something quick, you could be held up in their bureaucracy. The other con, and this is the last point I'll make about this particular subject, coins.co.th controls the Bitcoin, not you. That's just a fact. In other words, I go in my app, I want to buy a Bitcoin, it's 557,000 baht plus 1%, and so 562,000. I, send them my 562,000 baht, and hour later or less, they're pretty quick, even though they say it's going to take longer. Your account has 1 more Bitcoin. So I go look at my account, and yeah, it has 1.6 Bitcoin because I just bought one. I don't really have 1.6 Bitcoin. They have 1.6 Bitcoin, but I have my account's credited with 1.6. Only when I withdraw it and I want to send it to somewhere else, and then they release it. And then when it gets to my other wallet that's on my phone, for instance, then I'm in control of it. So with any of these crypto things, if you're going to have any kind of crypto, it's a personal tolerance question. People ask me all the time, say, hey, Dan, I'm getting into crypto. Should I get one of these hardware wallet things? Ledger, Nano Ledger X, or Trezor, and there's a couple others. And the first question I asked them, what % of your net worth is going to be held in crypto? And how painful would it be to you should you lose that crypto? If the answer is, yes, it's painful because I don't like losing let's say I'm going to put $5,000 in crypto and I have a portfolio of $150,000 and I want to trade. So those things go to, well, if the answer is I would like to trade, it's only $5,000 versus $150,000, then the answer is I wouldn't be asked to mess around with one of those devices. They're a pain. They're not designed to be easy because they're designed to really protect your crypto. And if you're going to trade, you want to have access to that $5,000. Now, if you change it around a little bit and said I've got $100,000 in Bitcoin and it's 30% of my investment funds, and I don't want to trade it, I believe Bitcoin is going to $20,000. It's going to break the all-time high in the next 3 months, which is likely. and it's going to hit 50 grand in 6 to 18 months, and I believe it's going to hit 150 grand or more in the next 3 years. If that's your belief system and you don't want to be bothered with trading and trying to turn 2 Bitcoin into 2.5 or 3 by playing the dips, then get a device, put it on the device, save those special words and all those kind of things to protect it, and just leave it. And then one other thing, anybody know what the first rule of cryptocurrency investing is? First rule. What? It's close. Here's what it is. Only put speculative money in your cryptocurrencies. For instance, if again, my fictional $100,000 portfolio, that's what I've got in investment. I got 100 grand. 10 or 20 grand goes into crypto, Forex, the risky kind of stuff. That's it. Because you don't want to lose your 10 grand, but it's only 10% of your total investment portfolio, so you can recover. Do not ever put money you need access to into crypto, because crypto, just as it's gone up $3,000 in the last week or 2 weeks, it can go down $3,000 between now and tomorrow. Highly possible. Not necessarily likely, but highly possible. So the rule is, if you use speculative money and as soon as you put it in, forget you had it. It's gone. Then when it does this crazy stuff, like goes down 15% overnight, when you go to bed and you wake up, what happened? Bitcoin's down, okay, it's at 17.7 and it goes down to 15,000. That's a $3,000 drop almost. You don't freak out. You don't like it because, the value of what you had went down, but you don't freak out. So that's very, very, very important. If you want to sleep well at night, that's what you do. And I think that is it, right? Go ahead. Yep, if you want to contact me, I have a couple of different companies. One of them, 3T out of Singapore. We do consulting and training and things like that, teach crypto and other kinds of products. I also run a company that owns an exchange out of Estonia, so we have our own cryptocurrency exchange, and the other part of the company raises money for micro, small, and medium enterprises using blockchain. And we have a new project, that's why we use Tron, called Learning 365, which is the connection of a learning platform with real products and its company and all that to a blockchain-based payment system for affiliates. One of the issues with affiliate marketing or companies in between you, and one of the advantages of this crypto smart contract stuff, which basically is just software that runs on one of the blockchains, the advantage of that is I sell Alan a product, or I convince Alan to buy the product. I don't sell it to him directly. And I say, Alan, just buy your product. And here's the address. You send your $30 to that address, and the company gets its cut. The company for that one takes 10%, so the company gets $3 of that $30 payment. And since I signed him up, I get $27. And it happens instantaneously. He sends the money to the address, and it says, $27 goes to this address, and $3 goes to this address. So the minute his payment is made, really quick, because Tron Network's really fast, I get my money. No company in the middle, no waiting to get paid, and any of that kind of stuff. So we're still heavily involved in crypto and related things, and it's a lot of fun. It's not for the faint of heart. Oh yeah, one other point I wanted to make. Remember I showed you that chart, right? 458 billion total market cap of all of tradable crypto on Monday. It's up to 499 now. Joseph, what's the market cap of Tesla right now? Approximately. Market cap. Market capitalization, not price of the stock. $520 billion market cap. Okay, 520 billion. Okay, we'll say it's $500 billion. So Tesla, the company, the value of all its 380 billion. I'll call it 400 billion. We'll just assume they're the same. So one company, Tesla, shares outstanding times share price is equal to all the cryptocurrency in existence. So if you add Microsoft, if you took Microsoft, Apple, Google, they're all trillion plus companies. those three companies combined are now 8 times the size of the entire cryptocurrency market, which just means it is open to manipulation. One other thing I was reading, Citibank forecasted potentially by end of next year $300,000 Bitcoin. Other forecasts, can't remember who it is, forecasting $1 trillion market cap for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's at what, 320 today. $1 trillion market cap, so triple. So lots of people in institutional places are predicting it. So with that, thank you very much. It's always fun. I could talk about this for hours, and it's a good time. Yeah. Over there. Get the microphone so I can hear you.
I was just wondering, is there any other way to invest in Bitcoin, like, for instance, an ETF?
Finally, yes.
So
Not too long ago, the answer is no, because the U.S. government kept turning down all the ETF applications. But now, finally, getting there, yes. There you go. Any more questions? Oh, got a question there, Alan?
Yeah, you just mentioned that somebody has forecast 300,000. How do they forecast this? Is it a pure guess?
It's a little bit more than a pure guess. I mean, it's Citibank. Don't consider the source, but it's Citibank. Here's what it will take for that to happen. One, significant institutional interest, which we're seeing more and more of because there's all kinds of solutions for institutions to hold Bitcoin because it's kind of hard. Number two, all it takes is Deutsche Bank and another big bank or two to fold, go bankrupt, and then all bets are off. Crypto, gold go through the roof. So that's definitely a potentiality.
I want to answer that too. In 1929, when there were no rules, so if that company just bought Bitcoin, you would say Bitcoin's going to 300,000 just because you want the price to go up, all the people to come on in. So, I'm sure there's some of that involved too. Yeah.
One question, please. Over here.
Hi, thanks, Dan. Very interesting. Yeah, I was in Ripple, Ethereum, and all these things, but now I'm just in Bitcoin. And yeah, I'm in an ETF because it seems a lot less complicated. I can go and pay for my coffee downstairs with £1 or whatever. So I'm on the Stockholm exchange. They do it. In fact, my stockbroker in England, Hargreaves Lansdown, they've stopped in the UK doing it now because only about a month ago because it's too volatile. But you can still buy it on the Swedish exchange, which I've got it on. And the one on the English exchange, because I used to buy and sell it every time it went up a bit, I thought I'd take a bit of profit. It doesn't always work well for you. But however, then I got stuck with it because Hargreaves Lansdown, a big company in the UK, said, no, we're not dealing with it anymore, a month ago. And that was a month ago, and it's gone up 50%, so I'm quite pleased it's gone up. But yeah, you can still buy it now through, because he was asking about ETF, Exchange Traded Fund, and seems to be a lot simpler. And I can buy it now through Luxembourg, through my stockbroker in Luxembourg, on the Swedish stock market. So that's, no, somebody was asking about that. That's what so I'm answering his question, yeah.
Hi, I have a few questions on Tesla. Can I do that, or because I have more than one question? Is that okay?
As long as you have
Okay,
no
then,
tomatoes.
no, that he covered such a huge variety, such a broad, that cannot cover it in one question. I have a few questions. Okay.
Please ask one question at least. Please ask one question.
Okay, one question. Tesla is building a factory in Germany right now, and that is laid out for about 500,000 cars. It's under construction right now.
It's not for 500,000. I can assure you, it's for 2 million or 3 million cars.
Eventually, right now it's for 500,000.
How fast they gear it up.
Okay, they go step by step. Okay, so that factory now has one hell of a problem, because now suddenly they came up and said, oh, we need 2 million liters of water a day to manufacture the batteries. And the municipality said, gee, where do you get that water from? So they're going to have one hell of a problem.
I didn't know that, thank you.
Okay, that was one question.
That's not a question, that's a statement. Thank you for letting me know. That's the second reason I have to sell tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Which was your first question? You only get one question, I'm sorry. Why is it trading at 800 times?
Why are you so bullish on because of the speed that they're going to get. You do have to wait 3 or 4 years for them to catch up. But then the speed, that's just the price to get in, right? But once you're in, just forget about it. You'll just keep making 30, 40% on your money every year.
Well, firstly, I'd like to very big round of applause for it. I thought some fascinating perspectives on what's happening, especially the Tesla talk was a real revelation to me. So a round of applause for our two speakers. And I want to say, Dan said that, Bitcoin is looking speculative. So much of the world, though, is now looking speculative, right? How secure are your deposits in banks when banks are under extreme stress, etc.? So I actually got into Bitcoin, actually, as I said to my friend in Australia, as a form of insurance that I could possibly make money out of, because it couldn't be subject to the vagaries of what governments decide or banks collapsing or anything like that. So it actually is a way of spreading risk as well. So we have a couple of thank you. Oh, thanks. Oh, sorry, I didn't see anybody's hand up, sorry.
Yeah, well, there's a few people. This gentleman is speaking so well on Tesla. Does he actually work for Tesla?
Absolutely not.
Pardon?
Absolutely not. I'm a business failure in the jewelry business, so I admire well-run companies.
Oh, I see.
I'm just a geek reading about it since I'm retired. I just read about it all the time.
Oh,
I'm an admirer of the company.
I mean, you sounded so good that I thought, can I buy a couple of shares,
Totally up to you, and I don't give advice because it's expensive, as he says.
Thank you.
You will have to wait 3 or 4 years just to reach break-even point or something like that. I mean, we're late.
On the Tesla subject, can you tell us if Tesla are investing in reducing the global warming?
Well, that is their objective, to put the world on electric cars.
So that's going to reduce global warming
absolutely.
or stabilize it?
Oh, that I don't know. First of all, I don't believe in global warming, but let's assume that you're correct and that there is global warming. Let me just tell you what happens once Tesla's plan comes out. Tesla's plan is taxis, right? They want that everything is taxis, Uber taxis, right? This will cost you approximately 10% of what it costs to run a car. Nobody's going to want to have their own car. It's just going to be too expensive to have your own car. You won't want to park it. You won't want anything. Plus, they're building tunnels. Their plan is to build tunnels underneath anywhere that only run on Tesla cars, which means if you want to go from point A to point B, it's going to be much faster in a Tesla taxi than it will be in your own car. So take my word for it, they're going to have taxis. When they have taxis, today you have 1 billion cars on the road. When taxis become the form of transportation, you probably don't need more than 20% of that. So what you're going to find is 80% of all the cars in the world are simply going to disappear.
Yeah, I follow all that.
And that is the answer to lowering thing. Especially then after that, when you have airplanes running on batteries and boats running on batteries, boats are 20%.
Yeah, we follow all that. Thank you. Anybody else got any more questions?
This is the thing. You buy a car that's incredibly expensive, and 95% of the time it sits there doing nothing, right?
Yeah,
currently.
we follow all that, Ren. Thank you. Anybody else?
Lloyd, I believe somebody asked a question that huh? Okay, let me just.
The important factor in Tesla is really Elon Musk. And Elon Musk has other companies, one called SpaceX, There's another company, I've forgotten the name of it, which he is now creating or has created, which will be an internet of the space available for any place in the world. Have you followed up on any of those other inventions? Or?
For me, although they're not part of the Tesla company, for me, it's all part of one thing. Just so you know, he uses what I told you about the casting of 175 parts into one part. That was all done by the engineers at SpaceX. They were using space technology to lower the weight of the car. So he interweaves all his people between the companies. It's not really, it's really Elon Musk projecting among many different companies, but like the space company is his own company, privately held company, but they help each other. Elon Musk is involved in them both. Tesla, though, has reached the point where they really don't need Elon Musk anymore. The people who are running Tesla now, they understand the vision, they're part of the vision, they're led by a great leader, but if Elon Musk, God forbid, passed away, they would be able to implement the goal that Elon Musk is not doing everything anymore. It's a lot of the great people that are running it under him. It will continue without him, just as Apple continued without Steve Jobs.
Just a comment. You know, we're living at a time now that's just unimaginable 10, 15 years ago. And these kind of people here who can create these things that continue with their own their own trajectory, it's just unbelievable. And it's wonderful to be here and see this happening.
Well, it can be wonderful to be here. In the case of Elon Musk, you really have a really nice man trying to do what is better for mankind. But that's not always the case. In the cases of Zuckerberg or Microsoft's guy, I mean, you know, there's a different type of personality going on there. So it can be for the good, and it can also be for the bad. But in the case of Elon Musk, he's really doing it for the betterment of the world in order to lower global warming, in order to improve especially for poor people who are middle class even don't understand the problems of the poor in terms of travel. So these taxis allow the poor to go around town, to travel, to get to their jobs for cheaper than they're getting now, or faster than they're getting now. It's life-changing to a lot of poor people. If you are a taxi driver or a truck driver, I recommend to you to buy Tesla stock because you're not going to have a job in the next 10 years.
Are there any electric cars that are solar panels on the roof for charging as you go?
Tesla already has that on one of its cars, or on some of its cars. It can make, or it's planning on the Tesla truck. Yeah, it's the Tesla truck. That they're going to put it on the Tesla truck, and you can go approximately 20 more miles a day. Only on that.
I have read that there are 300,000 truck drivers in the United States, and they're all going to lose their jobs.
Well, first of all, I doubt that those people will necessarily lose their jobs. There won't be another generation of truck drivers that are going to lose their jobs, but there's going to be a transition. For instance, the first Tesla trucks, what's going to happen is that you have a lead truck, and that lead truck will have a driver. And then following it will be 3 Tesla semi-autonomous trucks, right? So those will follow without a driver, right? So it could even be that those existing truck drivers, by the way, there's a shortage of truck drivers right now in the United States, at least. So they have a problem with that. So, and you can't build that many that fast. There's a huge number of trucks, and you can't build that many that fast. So you got quite a few years going here, and then there'll be a transition to where one truck handles many other trucks. But yes, over time, there's no question. There's going to be no need for drivers. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, well, I think we really need to. I think we need to start thinking about the time factor here.
Sorry, one for Dan on crypto. If, for sake of argument, if I want to buy crypto and I do buy it and I put it in a wallet, would that be liable to inheritance tax upon my death in the UK?
Let me ask you a question. If you bought a bar of gold, stored it in your house here, somewhere safe, and don't tell anybody you bought a couple kilos of gold because, you know, it's 62,000 a kilogram, is that taxable when you die?
It is taxable. It is.
That's an asset that your estate has now
right,
inherited,
it's an
correct?
asset, therefore it would be taxable within the UK. But there would be no way that the UK government could trace the purchase of that item. Now, is that the same with crypto?
Sort of. Okay, the facts, okay, in Thailand, if you bought it in Thailand, if I use coins.co.th, my bank account is tied to coins.co.th. In order to get my verification levels, you have to connect your bank account. So coins.co.th for sure knows how much Thai baht I send them and how much Thai baht I withdraw if I cash out Bitcoin. So they know, which presumably means the Thai government or the SEC would know. What they say to the Brits, God only knows. You know, and I don't know. I'm not a tax. I don't know UK taxes, so I'm not. So that, I mean, crypto taxation is quite problematic. Not problematic. It's kind of like stocks. In some jurisdictions, treat it as money. Some treat it as stock, like stocks. Some treat it as property. Depends on the jurisdiction. So it's a hard question to actually answer. But I would think it would be treated like gold in that sense. That's my opinion.
Well, wow, some really interesting questions and passionate questions too, which is great. And thank you so much for making the transition from the coffee shop to the podium here. And I found both talks fascinating, especially the Tesla one, which I knew nothing about. So thanks, guys. The trouble is, round of applause. The trouble is, we think of you as being a star, you see.